Welcome back everyone to another video. Today we're taking a quick look at PvP settings that I use to turn off and some settings I think you should also turn off as well, including lots of camera and global shake settings that just make your head bounce around that shouldn't. Also, we're going to take a quick look at the new PIP settings that we can change, our zoom functions, our PIP fading, and precision lines. Let's jump right into it. Shouldn't take long. Alright, first things first, turn off cinematic cameras, vibration, and spring movement. Again, kind of cool cinematic stuff, but it's not going to help you in dogfighting, so just get rid of it, turn it off, and you can turn it on later. Next thing you want to change is your proximity flight assist. This basically tapers your accelerations when you get close to landing pads. It's just better to turn it off. Also, your pilot vector indicator, or your TVI, should always be on. You always need to know where that is. Also, your vehicle targeting for your overflow, so when you pin targets, it doesn't have a limit to it. And also when you auto zoom, it gets annoying, so turn that off. As well as your look ahead mode, or when you target something it starts to zoom in. Turn all these settings off because it's just going to get in the way. Next, you're going to turn off your G-force induced head movement, because a more stable shooting platform is going to lead to much more accurate results. Next, we're going to turn off our emissions, or turn on our emissions display, so we know exactly what our thermal and EM is actually sitting at. And also, let's go here to audio driven camera shake, which again, just all this camera shake, we want to turn it off. Next, we're going to go into our mandatory key bindings. We need to turn off our G-safe when entering fights, so we want to bind that to any button you want. You also want to bind your gravity compensation, which I'll talk about later in the video. You want to turn that off on demand. And you want to have ability to switch between different lead and lag pips, as well as your zooming, your precision lines, and magnification, which again we'll talk about just after this section here. But you want to have access to either something on the keyboard or your sticks to turn that on. And here we have precision lines. All these settings are going to make it a lot easier for us to engage, because we can have a stable shooting platform, our head's not bobbing around all over the place, and we can get to what we're looking for. So let's briefly talk about some of these settings with our PIP systems. As you can see here, I'm flopping between lag pip and lead pip. Lead pip obviously is the one that's attached to the ship, and the lag is the one that I'm currently in now, that drags behind my front sight. Now when I turn on and off the automatic gimbal, you'll notice that I have many pips and then one pip. What that's doing is when I turn that function on or off, it's deciding whether or not to gimbal to the same solution. Auto convergence, would you say? So having a single pip means all the guns are pointing at that single spot, and not having convergence allows us to have a slightly larger spread, but it's something that you might want to have. You'll notice here that we have two little lines beside our pip, and this little line system represents what's called precision lines. It's basically telling you what the roll aim solutions should be. So when I turn it on here and I roll in, I need to roll it just a bit to the right to line myself up with that pip system, and there we go. Now, we also have PIP fading. You'll notice that my PIP has disappeared, and once I get within 30 degrees of my target, the PIP system turns back on. Again, something that's quite useful because you don't have PIP focused. You'll also see here that we have zoom magnification, or UI magnification. You can see here that the PIP is actually much larger. So if you're like me, you want to see the PIP a little easier, it's nice to have that option to turn it on, make it slightly bigger, make it smaller, that kind of stuff. It's pretty simple in a nutshell, folks. Precision lines let you know what your roll needs to be. The zoom function increases the size of the pip. The fade option basically turns off the pip until you get within 30 degrees of facing towards your target again, so less distraction. And ultimately, turning off all these camera shake, G-force induced head movements is going to keep your character's head static inside the cockpit, so that you as the pilot can get a much better sense as to where your momentum is going, because it's hard enough in 6 degrees of freedom. We don't need to also add movement to our head to that solution, because now it's much harder for us to tell really where we're going. And also, it's a good rule of thumb to turn off your G-safe immediately once entering any kind of arena commander match or going into the persistent universe, because you're leaving a tremendous amount of, I guess you could say, performance on the table if you don't turn it off. Also, gravity compensation works like this. While you are in atmosphere and the gravity of the planet is pulling your ship in any direction, what happens is if you turn off your gravity assist, your ship will no longer fight the G-force of the planet or whatever gravimetric body you're close to, which means you will slowly fall towards the planet. Now, having gravimetric compensation turned on will automatically level you against the planet's g-forces. But this means that you're putting thruster input in automatically without you as the pilot deciding what's going on. So what ends up happening is you will become less maneuverable in atmosphere because the thrusters are not giving you the solution that you're asking for. They're doing a kind of in between the automatic compensation and what you're asking for. So from my experience, the flight experience in atmosphere is significantly better if G-safe is turned off, gravity compensation is turned off, so that you get a much more hands-on feel with the fighter. You just have to make sure that you have a little bit of upstrafe to make sure your ship doesn't come slamming to the ground. But again, having that on your press, your push to toggle, you can turn it on and off depending on if you want to go into combat or not. All right, folks, I don't want to waste your time. A quick little small video here. I hope these settings help. These are the settings I use. If you'd like to learn more about combat and getting into StarCitizen's PvP, check us out at the Foundations course here on the AVS Discord and as well here on our YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see you on stream every day at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you there, and if not, then maybe I'll see you in the next video. Also, make sure you check out the Apno Esports and Avenger Squadron tournament coming up this June 8th for the Sick Kids Flight for Kids charity tournament at 1800 UTC. I hope to see you all out there. Thank you so much. My name is Avenger1, and I'll see you next time.